Hi there, Becky Hammond here with Isogo, whose mission is to create life-changing stories through people's own unique and brilliant strengths. And I am joining you live here from inside my office here in New York City to share a little bit about what that life change is all about. So I talk a lot about life change through my strengths, and I think sometimes people are like, what do you mean? What do you mean by life changed by strength? So that's what I'm jumping on here to share about today. Hi there, Johnny Lynn. I'm so glad that you were able to join today, and look forward to having other people join on as well, and catch it later on. So it's something that I'm really excited about and passionate about to share, to share in the life change that I have experienced through understanding my own self better, really. I mean, it kind of comes down to the basics of self-awareness and others' awareness, but specifically through the tool of that StrengthsFinder provides us by giving us a language to wrap around our strengths. And so what I mean by life changing. So for me, there has been a couple, it's come across in a couple different ways. One is that I now have a different paradigm, a different way that I look through at the people around me. I am a natural perfectionist, and I have been battling against that my whole life. Well, actually, I haven't been battling against it my whole life. I've only maybe in the last 15 years or so realized that maybe it was something that wasn't the best thing, always. And what the strengths paradigm has allowed me to see is that I don't necessarily, there's not necessarily one way to get to success. There's not necessarily all one way to get to a place that you feel successful or feel great. And I think because I'm a perfectionist, I have seen the detail. I see the details so easily, so naturally. And I see when other people aren't doing things the way that I think is right. And that has kind of put me in a place where I felt like maybe I was better than other people, or that my way was better, certainly. And what this paradigm has allowed me to do is just to say, like, hey, there are other ways to do things that might be just as well, and actually our lives can be much richer if we have other perspectives and other paradigms and other ways of doing things and getting to that place. And so it's allowed me to take my perfectionism and maybe allow it to work in ways where it's going to be successful, but not in ways that's going to destroy relationships that are around me. The other thing that it has done with my own perfectionism is it's told me, like, I don't have to be well-rounded. I don't have to be sharp in every area in order to be successful. And in fact, I'm going to be more successful, in this way I'm defining success as like having more energy to do what I love and being less frustrated about it along the way. I'm going to be better in those areas if I really just concentrate on the things that I do well, that I can find my energy and less frustration by understanding the core of who I am and sharpening those types of things. That I'm not meant to be a circle, but rather a star. And so specifically, I wanted to give you an example from this week, how understanding my strengths really made a change for me. It's this ongoing, continual life change, not only the paradigm by which I live my life, which actually is fairly significant life change, but rather also those individual little moments that allow me access to more energy and less frustration. And so this week, or actually it's been over the last couple weeks actually, where I have just felt stressed and overwhelmed, and but stepping back, looking at it from an outside perspective, kind of like, well, what do I have to be stressed and overwhelmed about? My life is certainly much more stable than it has been at certain times in the past, especially over the last couple of years. And what's the deal? And what I realized by looking at my strengths and now actually dipping into my kind of dominant strengths, which go below my top 5, within the next 3 to 4, I have discipline strength. And what that means is that I crave order. And when I don't have it, that's when I can start to feel stress and overwhelm. And so even though I know, and my ranger actually craves some flexibility, that things don't always go as planned, I'm going to be most successful when I have a plan. And so I realized I had to just nail them down. Didn't matter what it was in some ways. I just had to nail down this plan. And so as I've done that over the last couple weeks, I've been able to feel more free to say, this is the time for Isogo work. This is the time for homeschooling. This is the time for doing some of the other things that I do to make the house run. And when I realized that I had that schedule, I was finally free to have more energy, more innovative moments in the times that I did have allocated to one thing or another. So that's just a really small example of just how I was able to self-reflect because I have this language of StrengthsFinder and because I have this language of strengths. The things that I do well and my buttons that are being pushed when I'm being frustrated or feeling stressed or overwhelmed, I have now a resource to kind of reach into and say, okay, what is the root of that? What do I need to do to figure this type of thing out? And so that's an example for me. And there are so many people that are around me that have experienced this type of change as well. And just one quick example from a guy who is a solopreneur. He's working, making sales calls, and he, by understanding his strengths, was able to double his productivity, was able to make twice as many appointments, was able to make twice as many successful trips to his destination, to his goal, because he understood his strengths. Specifically, he understood that he had consistency. And this consistency strength, it was kind of being ignored and being overwhelmed by some of his other strengths, like his arranger strength. His arranger strength was going all over the place and saying, okay, I can rearrange this and I can rearrange this and I can make this more efficient. I can plan for my day like this. But his consistency was saying, you know what? I need more. I need a more equal distribution of how we're going to do things. I need to understand how we're going to do things a little bit more. So once he set up his own kind of internal policy and procedures for himself, he was able to get more productive, and his consistency strength really showed up well for him and helped him perform. So, and like I said, got him to a 200% increase in his end goal, which really led to that percentage increase in how much money he was making and how successful he felt as well. And so I share that because another friend and colleague of mine said that was the story that helped push him over the edge to say, yeah, this is something that's worthwhile if we can have that type of effect, that life-changing effect at home, at work, and through understanding what your strengths are. Last week, I put out a post, 9 steps to life change through your strengths, through your StrengthsFinder top 5. I've just been really feeling like we need a really clear route to use our strengths for dynamic life change, that we can't just take our report and look at it, read it, say, yeah, that was great, or interesting, and then never look at it again. That's not how you're going to get to life change, but rather there's a sequence of steps that I have learned by working with clients and using it in my own life and in the people that are around me that says there's a way that we can systematically get to this impact, this life-changing impact through our strengths and create those stories. And so I've put those nine steps out there on the blog. It's a mammoth blog post. Literally, if you followed along, it would really take you on the journey of discovering what your steps, what your life change can look like through understanding your strengths. I have a checklist out there as well. So of course, the blog post, you can go up and check that out. And if you're interested, you can download the checklist that helps you walk through those 9 steps as well. So I'll be talking more about those over the next several weeks, and looking forward to diving into each of those. And looking forward to having you join here live or afterwards as it fits with your schedule. I'm always excited to have a conversation with you. Wishing it could be over a cup of coffee, but glad that we could do this here in this virtual world as well. So if you are interested, I put the 9 steps to life change through your strengths link up in the comments for this post. So please go check that out if you are interested in really how do I start to use these things for life change. As always, please feel free to reach out and let me know how it's going and what questions I can answer for you. So thanks for joining me, and thank you, Johnny Lynn, especially for tuning in and for all the encouragement along the way. All right, I will talk to you all later and look forward to being in touch. Bye now.